Hello, you're super welcome. This is Locks and Chronicles, and it's your girl, Opsy baby. You're super welcome. If it's your first time, on this channel, I do my logs, and my chronicles is just showing you my lifestyle. And my lifestyle mainly involves doing videos with my darling husband, my family, and around my career. I'm a newly qualified social worker. So if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing. It is free. Absolutely free, cost you nothing. And if you are returning, you guys are the real what? The real MVPs. I just want to say thank you all so very much for the love. Some of you came into my DM. Some of you sent me messages like, Mrs. O, what's happening? Opsy baby, where are you? And I just want to say thank you. Thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you understand why things have been like this. I think I've been talking about my work, and you probably know, if you've been following me, that I've been finding a lot of things very stressful. Yeah, but you know, sometimes, even though I want to keep pushing, sometimes as a human being I get tired and I just have to rest. And yeah, that's been the mode. But I was thinking about you all the time, and I have really missed you, and I've missed filming. But here I am today, and I just want to talk about something very interesting. I hope you find it interesting. I want to actually talk about teachers and our children. So this story I'm going to tell you is about one day I went to pick my child from school. So when my child was coming out from school, they were very upset, sobbing, really so very much. Everyone on the playground was looking at my child. And as my child was coming out of the school building, and then the teacher accompanied my child, and she came to, she came in front of me, and she started yapping about my child, saying like 1,000,001 things that my child did in one day. It was actually very surprising. And I think my child was sobbing a lot because they were so afraid, because they know how much I want them to respect their teachers. And they were so afraid that the teacher coming to me to tell me something about them, I was immediately going to start blaming them, embarrassing them. Yeah, but as this teacher started talking, the teacher didn't even introduce herself to me. And because of lockdown, because of COVID, I think I only met the teacher once during the holidays before my child actually started in that year. So I didn't recognize the teacher because COVID, we've not been having face-to-face meetings or anything like that. And they just started talking, and they were saying all these things about my child. And I just went, wait a minute, excuse me, can I ask you, who are you? Who are you? And then she went, oh, I'm your child's class teacher. And I went, okay, hi, nice to meet you. My name is, this. And then all she wanted to do was just talk bad about my child. And as she was talking, about 3 parents went, behind her, in front of me, and what they were saying was, liar, she's lying, she's evil. I was quite surprised. And just let me tell you what I did. I just said to her, everything you're telling me, I am listening, but 3 parents have walked past here and they've said that what you're telling me is probably not true. I challenged her. I don't know what you're going to say about that, but that's what I said. And the teacher went, I don't know why anybody would say that I'm lying, and who said I'm lying. But anyway, it was the playground and there were many parents. And I said, I'm not here to point any finger at anybody who said anything, but I have to think very deeply about this. I said, I met you on the phone once when we were talking about how the year would go. And when I was trying to tell you things about my child, you weren't really listening. I said, I think we should have a proper meeting, a proper discussion where we're going to talk about this. And I would like the principal to be involved. Anyway, to cut the long story short, yes, a meeting was arranged. And, let me just tell you this. Before that big upset that my child had, my child always used to come home to say a lot of things that were happening that were wrong. But you know how you go when your child comes to tell you about a teacher, how you just say, the teacher wants the best for you, maybe you should deal with it, maybe you should be more upcoming or forthcoming, maybe you should listen to your teacher, No, this teacher was actually borderline bullying my child. Yeah, they were borderline bullying my child. When we had the meeting, it was myself, my husband, the principal, another teacher, and the teacher, the class teacher. And the principal, at first, I felt like she was on this teacher's side. What do you expect? She's like this teacher's boss, and she wanted to present that the school is doing well and was doing well, and there was nothing wrong with the practice, and like my child was, in the wrong. And what my child actually did that day was that they were told to stop writing or to stop doing something, and they actually didn't stop. And the teacher gave them 3 warnings, and they still didn't stop. And the teacher had to go and report to the principal. And the principal actually said that they were very surprised that my child was not one to disobey or refuse a teacher's instruction or any instructions from any teacher, that had never happened before. And there was another teacher that had been in the school for a very long time who knew my child, and that teacher was attesting to the same thing, that actually, wait a minute, we know your children, and we know how you raise them with so much discipline, and they're so respectful, and we've never had this kind of behavior from any of your children before. My husband was also in this meeting, and I'm very thankful that we went together. And then I said something. I'm very glad that even you people are saying that this is not normal behavior. And let me tell you what happened when we got home. I asked my child, why did you not listen to your teacher? Why did you actually refuse to stop when you were asked to stop? And my child said that they were just fed up. They were fed up of the teacher picking on them all the time. Everybody else was writing. Why was it then the teacher was asking to stop? The teacher had no explanation, and it was not the first time, and the teacher was always picking on them. And let me tell you, because I'm the kind of parent that I'm always running. When I'm dropping my child, I'm running. When I'm picking my child up, I'm running. So I barely have time to speak to other parents. And it's been because of the nature of my work. Always running so that I'm not late. And then after this happened, actually so many parents came to me on the playground to speak to me and tell me that their children had been telling them at home that the teacher was always speaking on my own child. And these kids were wondering why. So when we went for that meeting, myself and my husband told the principal this. And another thing that we told the principal was, there was a particular incident. My child was in class, and the teacher was trying to give them scripts, give all the children some scripts or some papers to do their work on. And the teacher kept putting their saliva on their finger to pick out the papers. My child, rightly so, said, "Excuse me, miss, could you not put your saliva on the papers because there's COVID, and we're supposed to be careful." The teacher then turned around and said, "What about you, that when you're talking, your saliva is spitting on other people?" And the whole class started laughing at my child. And I just had to say that at the meeting. And what was shocking at the meeting was the teacher it was so hard to talk. It was so hard for my husband and I to talk, up to the point that my husband had to say to the teacher, "Can you be quiet for a moment? If you are shutting us up like this as parents, how would you be with children? Would you even allow them to express themselves?" And that was the point that we could actually start talking. Do you know what I mean? When we said about this example of how the teacher turned around to say to my child, "What about you when you're talking, there's saliva everywhere and you're spitting on everyone," and the whole class was laughing, that was bullying. And my husband had to actually say, "This is borderline bullying," And the principal, the principal was she felt so dejected, like so disappointed when we said that. And it was at that point she actually started apologizing to us and saying to us that she was going to have a word with the teacher and they needed to talk about this. And so I think they had a word, they had to deal with it. And every day we started checking in with our child. Every day we would check how school was, how the teacher was. We were checking all the time. They weren't best of friends, but there was no more bullying, and there was no more picking on them. There was no more just frustration generally. And the funny thing was, my child was always crying every day whenever they were going to school at that period when all of this was happening. But we just kept telling them, get on with it, get on with it. You know, you have to go to school. Don't make this up. And you know, as parents, you think back, you reflect, and it was, you know, in the course of the reflection, we thought, yes, we were also wrong, because this is a child that really loves school, that really loves to go to school. So we should have noticed very quickly that something more than just what we thought was laziness was going on. So I wanted to share this story with you guys, that teachers are not always right. Sometimes your children are 100% right, in fact 101% right. And I know that there's something that, you know, I've always done. If I have any feedback about any of my children, I always say, okay, thank you for giving me this feedback. I'm going to try and talk to my son, or I'm going to try and talk to my daughter, and I will come back to you. And I think on this very day when this teacher was, you know, ranting as well, I'm very sorry to use this word, when she was just talking on and she refused to be controlled. That day, what I said to her was also that, yes, we have to have a meeting where we'll talk about this, whilst I go and talk to my child as well about it. And don't get me wrong, when we got home, my child did get a punishment. He did get some discipline for what happened. I said, under no circumstance should your teacher be giving you instruction and you not doing it, except whatever the teacher is telling you is out of God's will. As long as it's correct, it's the law, and it's in God's will, you have to do it. And if you have any issue, you have to come home and tell us. Write a letter, an apology letter, take it to the teacher the next day, and you know, let the teacher know that they were sorry, as well as we took off Nintendo and everything for a week. Even though we knew at that point that there was something more, we still felt that we needed to instill some discipline in the child, so that they would know that, you know, you don't just go and disrespect your teacher. But at the same time, we needed to address the teacher's behavior, because it was just out of order. So that's why, you know, reflection is a very good thing, and as they say, hindsight is a very good thing if only it happens on time. But yeah, teachers are not always right. Sometimes they are very wrong. There are teachers that are bullies. I thought that she was too overbearing, and yeah, she needed to be spoken to. Yeah, the principal needed to have a word, and I think that happened, and everything got peaceful after that, which I'm very happy about. And I think for the child as well, they must have been thinking that they were telling us this thing and we were not really paying attention to it. And just the final straw that broke the camel's back was then what made us look into it. So some teachers are not, you know, teachers are not always right. I mean, some are fantastic. We have teachers that we are forever grateful for, that have come into our children's lives, that we can never forget them. Amazing people. They are like family. But we've also had teachers, just like this one that I'm saying, you know, before things got back to close to being normal, that just was horrendous for us as a family and for my child. So yeah, just parents, I know it's not easy. As my mom would say, we just have to keep praying that things with our children turn out well. I just think every parent is doing amazing. Even if you're not feeling it, you just sometimes have to pat yourself on the shoulder and tell yourself, I am amazing. Raising another human being when I can even barely look after myself. Oh my God. So yeah, this is my story. I have so many other stories, parental stories actually. Yeah, that I would really love to share with you. But yeah, that's the story for today, and that's my advice is always pay attention to what your children are saying. Yeah, it's very important, and just know that teachers are not always right. Apologies if you're a teacher and you're watching this, but it's the truth. Okay, so yeah, if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Why haven't you subscribed? Can I ask you? What? Well, it's free. Just click the subscribe button here. And whilst you're doing that, just press that notification bell so that every time I post a video, you will get notified. Like it, share it. Guys, you need to be sharing my videos to encourage me. And please leave a comment or two. Okay, until I come your way again, guys, just remember this. I really do love you. Mwah.